Independent businesses, you will go to hell. This is a drug convenience store where the walls are all grey and the shelves are 30 feet high so you can't reach anything. And everything is Tesco value and it's all a year out of date. So think about your lives, people. You need to start mending your naughty, naughty ways.
Lovely. Thank you, that's made my day. I'll have a hug.
Go on.
Do you want one?
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye. So, if you had one thing to say to the viewers who see that now on YouTube, what would that be? What would you like to give them on their way?
I'll let you go first.
I guess what this whole thing's about, what I'm for, is not like what we always say to people when we're doing corporate terrorism, is that we have that sign, what's really going on? Question, people say, what does that mean? And I say, well, it's whatever you want it to mean, you know, what do you think's really going on? I mean, I think if you want to be a conservative, you know, if you want to be a Tory, then that's fine for you. Like, if you believe that that's right, you know, I'm not here to tell anybody else what to think, but what I think is important is for people to think for themselves. You know, whatever conclusions come out of their thoughts, I'm happy for them having actually thought about it and considered it. But I think there's so many people in this country and indeed the entire world who just walk through life completely blind, never actually considering the things the government are doing or things the corporations are doing. And yeah, you know, after you've thought about that, like I said, you might come out and say, well, I think what the government's doing is good, I think what the corporation's doing is good. And that's fine, but I mean, to just not think about it or consider it at all, I think it's wrong. And I think people should just maybe pay more attention to political issues. So my friend Ewan, for example, he's over in Sweden at the moment studying, and he said that, like, you know, they have these sort of public meetings and public think tanks where people contribute, and over in Sweden, like in their culture, it's completely normal for that to happen. You know, it's completely normal for people to sit down and discuss government policies, whereas in Britain, it's considered a more fringe pursuit. You know, it's not many, you know, most people just like to go in and, like you say, work their 9-to-5 jobs, watch EastEnders, Coronation Street and the X Factor, and just go through life with this kind of blissful ignorance about them and not consider the real issues. So if people were to take one thing from this interview, like, it would be just think about things. You know, think about what the government does, think about what corporations do, think about society.
Alex has covered the political side of things. Now, a short message from Geoff. Don't be afraid to trust your neighbours. Don't be, like, by all means, question authority, question media, question everything that, like, you're surrounded by every day. But I see too many places where people aren't even willing to sort of get to know the people around them, the other human beings that sort of get to know your neighbour. Don't be afraid to sort of venture out and meet new people, because that's what life's about. Life's about the experiences that you yourself like get. So go out, meet new people. If someone offers you a hug, accept that hug. Don't question the reason behind it. Okay, don't be afraid to love people, and stop being so scared.
Okay, great. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting what you say there, because like, obviously this corporate terrorism and the love police, it achieves this sort of a more political awareness among people, but then on a personal level, from doing the corporate terrorism, I've met people that I would never have met if we didn't do this. People like
yourself.
Yeah, people like you, Luca, and you know, and Warren and Anna and Sam and you know, the rest of the people at Vodafone. You'd never have met them or heard their opinions if we hadn't done corporate terrorism. And I can say that on a personal level, I'm very grateful for that experience, to be able to go out and meet people. Just like I don't know if you were there when we met Louis, but Louis, we were just demonstrating against Vodafone, and Louis came up and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And so we're protesting against Vodafone's tax dodging. He was like, "Oh, do you mind if I join you?" And he did, and he came down every day. You know, we became friends. It's a really rewarding experience. You know, just getting to know people. So I think, you know, it's this culture in Britain, isn't it, ever since the kind of anti-terror laws and stuff, you know, you're meant to suspect everyone, you know, does he work for the CIA or is he a terrorist working for Al-Qaeda or anything like that, but, I mean, the vast majority of people are good, fundamentally, you know, they have good intentions and good morals, so you should always be kind of open to getting out there and meeting new people.
I mean, it's like I had a few people come up to me just from doing this that I normally I'd look at them, and that's you can't help but judge people by looking at them. It's built into us, and they'd come over to me and they'd be like, "What you're doing is really good, thank you." And it completely sort of changes your perspective of certain sorts of people that normally you just sort of shy away from. And you've just got to have no shame. Okay, forget sort of any inhibitions like that. Just don't be afraid to just sort of chat to people, share ideas, and smoke weed.
Don't put that in there.
All right.
Jeff speaks for himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, just on that, you know, every single time we do corporate terrorism, you always get this one really rough-looking scally, you know, this huge bloke in like a Lacoste tracksuit and a skinhead. Not the same bloke, like a different one every time, you know, will be walking over to you and you're like, oh god, you know, what's this guy going to say to us? And then all of a sudden they'll stick their arms out, go ahead, give me a hug, yeah. And it's like you say, you know, when you see that kind of image, you know, someone who looks really rough, like in a tracksuit and a skinhead, you think, oh god, you know, what's this guy going to like?
Punch me, what's he going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to sort of just get away from that way of thinking.
And a lot of them turn out to be so nice, and this one chap once, he had like very solid political and social arguments for us, and you know, a lot of the time, you know, people just look at someone and think, oh, I won't talk to them just because of how they look.
I think, I mean, you look back on your experiences from other people like that, and you always focus on the negative.
Yeah.
It's so easy to focus on the negative side of things and ignore the good experiences you've had. You've just sort of got to change the way of thinking.
I guess that's kind of inbuilt, like animal instincts, isn't it? Avoid situations that you've learned about and have been dangerous in the past. But it's kind of what we're about, you know, sort of open your mind and, you know, love people essentially, because, like I say, you know, the absolute vast majority of people are good. You know, that some heads of government and heads of corporations can be bad, but I mean, they're in an absolute minority as far as society goes. It's just they have the economic power, so they're in the.
I think a lot of the problem is they're too separated from us. We don't get to talk to these people. I mean, they'll often address large crowds, but so few people actually get to meet them and sort of have a genuine, off-the-record sort of discussion with them. I think that's on a personal level.
Yeah, there's no connection on the personal level.
Yeah, like when a politician gives a speech or when the head of a corporation gives a speech, it's all about, you know, how does this look on camera? How do I appear to the masses here? Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe that is them, but you know, you get the impression when the politicians give a speech that they're,
well, a lot of
it's not their true self. Well, yeah, exactly. Like George Bush, you know, he had all his speeches written for him, didn't he?
I think I was partly because he couldn't sort of write anything to save his life.
Well, it was just.
But hey, I don't know.
Just Bush was just a puppet for like Cheney and Rumsfeld and the big oil business.
That's a different story.
Now we're getting into other territory.
Okay, great. Thank you. So
I think we should end this on a hook. I love you, man.
really great.
Luca.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot to you too, Luca, for spending the time with us this weekend. It's been a lot of fun.
Sure, great. Thank you.
Bombarded by the mainstream media with tales of terrorism and war and killing and destruction, we're beginning to feel scared. We're beginning to feel scared of ourselves. We've forgotten just how divine and special we are as human beings. You are the only example of you that will ever exist. Nobody can replace you. When you're on your way home tonight, try and walk up to someone you've never met before, learn their name, and give them a hug. If this seems too much for you, try to make eye contact with them, give them a smile, and see if you can get a smile back.